all-new 2-hour event travels 400 years into the past.
There's a hell, I've been there.
The futures of Buffy and Angel revealed.
Slayers, you killed 2 of them. You're gonna show me how.
As old friends and enemies return in an extraordinary journey through time. Sarah Michelle Gellar, David Boreanaz in an all-new Buffy Angel 2-hour event.
I smell fear.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Slade, the Buffyverse Revisited. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Jeremy.
I'm your other host, James.
Alrighty then, and this week we will be into Season 5, Episode 7, Fool for Love.
We will. Just a quick disclaimer on Fool for Love here. This was technically a crossover.
Yes.
With episode 7 of Angel.
Right.
Darla.
Mm-hmm.
So just something to keep in mind if you're...
You guys will just have to use your imaginations.
Right, or feel free...
Wait till we do season 2 of Angel, and then come back to this and listen to them back to back.
Right, or feel free to watch this episode and then also watch season 2, episode 7 of Angel.
Or feel free to go fuck yourself.
Either way.
Either way.
The main story of the 2 episodes is completely separate. They're not interwoven in any way, but the flashbacks that take place in both episodes are essentially, the majority of them are the same flashbacks, but told from, in Fool for Love, they're told from Spike's perspective, and over in Darla, they're more so told from Darla and Angel's perspective, mostly Angel's perspective. So, which was quite interesting, actually, to watch when it originally aired.
I tuned up.
Well, you're a raging homosexual, so.
Yes, I am.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, in fact, I'm not even going to go to a gay conversion camp this year.
This year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
is that because it just didn't take in previous years, or you just, Well,
I've been going since I was 7. I'm 46 now. I don't think
it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've outlived most of the priests there, so.
Okay.
A couple of them I gave heart attacks to, so.
Yeah, understandable. So yes, that is a little tidbit for this episode. If you're a watching completionist, so to speak, head over to season 2, episode 7, Darla of Angel, for the full effect of this episode.
Or not.
I mean, I'm not here to tell you what to do, boo boo. You do you.
All right then. Sounds good to me.
So how you doing, Jeremy? It's been a week now since last we.
It has been a week since last we met. But absolutely nothing. Just living life, hanging and banging, brother. Which is code for I'm a loser and I don't do anything.
Oh. I thought maybe when you meant hanging, I was going to ask you if you specifically meant like from your testicles, from the ceiling.
Yeah. Well, you already know that, so.
I do. I wish you would quit sending me the videos, honestly.
Well, I like to sharing is caring. We've discussed that before on the show. So.
That's true. I do appreciate that you want to share these things with me.
Yes, exactly. So how about you, James? What's up with you? How's your week been, etc.?
I can't complain. Just working and prepping for the podcast. Doing doing trivia. Nothing outrageous.
No cocaine or
no. Could you hear that? My Google Home just went off unexpectedly.
You've heard my Alexa go off just for no reason.
Just for no reason. Yeah. So yeah, my week's been good. No complaints. Dice are just working. Watching the eps, prepping for the podcast. Going out for a little trivia. So.
No coke, no anything like that.
Nope, no coke, no. Well, presuming you mean cocaine. No cocaine.
Yes.
I did have a Coke Zero at trivia.
Okay, so no hookers and blow then, basically.
No hookers and blow. No hookers and blow.
All right.
There's just other things to spend my money on,
I try to live vicariously through you, but you're not cooperating these days.
I'm sorry. I just, like I said, I don't. Why would I spend money on hookers and blow when, like, I can see titties on the internet for free?
Fair enough, but you can't touch them.
That's true. Still, it just feels a little wrong having to pay to touch them.
And you can't do a rail off an internet ass.
You can if you print it out.
Okay, got me again. All right. Fair enough.
See? Touche, my friend. Touche.
Touche.
Three Shay. Nick Lachey. Sorry.
Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
I probably shouldn't have done that rail off the printed internet ass.
Yeah. Speaking of rails off of internet printed asses, I saw a hilarious shirt the other day that I'm actually thinking about getting. It's probably old and it's probably been out there forever, but I just saw it and I fucking lost my shit. But it was a Nirvana t-shirt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except instead of a picture of the band, it was a picture of Hanson. And I was like, dude, I would totally wear that.
Nice. I was at, I think it was last night, Friday night. Went to the mall, was walking around the mall, and feeling appropriately out of place amongst the younger generation there. And, of course, went into Hot Topic and Spencer's, the mall staples. And there were quite a few funny shirts in both that I was tempted to get.
Yeah, but they're like fucking $60 a piece or some shit.
Yeah, I went into FYE, too, and they had a nice Buffy the Vampire Slayer shirt. It was like $25.
Damn.
I was like, I'm going to C2E2 this up. Right, I'm going to
go in and get a t-shirt for $10, man.
Right, like I'm going to C2E2 this coming weekend, and they always have t-shirt booths there where you can get like 3 t-shirts for $25.
Speaking of which, is there any you haven't shared with me or the audience if there's anything super dope going on at C2E2 this year?
Well, I suppose it depends on your definition of super dope. They are having the first entire cast reunion of The Breakfast Club. The first time they've all been together in 40 years.
Obviously just the cast, because all the older people from the cast are dead.
It's
the janitor.
It's just
the actual writer director that did Home Alone. Why am I drawing up?
Yeah,
Hughes. He's dead.
Yeah. It's the core cast, the Breakfast Club themselves: Ali Sheedy, Molly Ringwald, Emilio Estevez,
who are all like great grandparents now.
Right. So it's all of them, and then there's a small RoboCop cast reunion with Peter Weller and Nancy, what's her face that played his partner in the original RoboCop. So.
Nancy Kerrigan, right?
I don't know. I don't believe it's Nancy Kerrigan. No. So yeah, I mean, it all depends on what your definition of dope is. I mean, I'm looking forward to the cast panel for the.
Would you consider that like the two biggest panel things happening?
Of what I've seen so far, yeah, I would. Well, there's also, again, it kind of depends. Like, there's a Futurama cast panel reunion.
Oh, I would go to that.
And that's everyone. Katie Seagal, right down the line. There was another one my buddy was telling me about, because I haven't actually looked at the panels yet. John Boyega is going to be there. I would say John Boyega. I know you're not a fan of the sequel trilogy, but honestly, I think that might be, like, he might be the biggest name there. I mean, outside of,
for a couple more years until,
right,
like, he's still riding the wave of that, but he's gonna fall by just like how what was his name, Ray Park, Darth Maul.
Yeah.
He was like the belle of the ball for years, and now if you go to a convention and see him, he's like in the back room next to the furnace with like
right.
cart table folded out, and he's sitting on like a fucking bicycle fucking post with no seat. So yeah, he's fallen from grace.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I would say, and again, it's all your perspective. Like, obviously, the cast of the Breakfast Club, like, those are big names.
That's a huge name.
like those are big names. But how do they come
in a heartbeat? I would go to that.
Yeah. But then it's like, how do they compare to someone who's part of the legacy of Star Wars? So it's it's all about perspective. There was one other panel that my buddy was telling me about that I thought was a pretty big deal. I don't remember what it was, but I will.
So it must not have been very important.
Well, he was talking about it during breakfast this morning, and like, I'm thinking, I'm primarily thinking about pancakes and corned beef hash. Like,
you're thinking, I need some mastication. I don't need verbal masturbation, friend.
Right. So, but I will check the panel listing and report back to you next episode.
Okay, good. No, I just know, for all the previous years that we've been doing this podcast, when C2E2 came around, you usually gave us, an inside look at what was going on and what you were looking forward to, and yada yada. Now, nothing Buffy related this year, I take it.
No, unfortunately. Like, I think you'll probably remember from when that a couple years ago, when it was practically the entire cast of Buffy and Angel were back, and we fucking didn't get in line in time and completely missed the panel, which, as someone who co-hosts a Buffy podcast, is a huge fail on my part. But
yeah, well, if you recall, I did give you a severe beating for that.
Right. Yeah, right. I remember.
That's why you have CTE now.
That's why I have CTE. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, nothing Buffy related. So
does Adrian Paul ever come to C2E2?
No. I think he's.
That's hard. He is at like every damn convention, like just all the time, and I'm like, how do you not go to? He even goes to San Diego Comic-Con. It's like, how are you not at C2E2? That's the biggest convention in the Midwest. Period.
Yeah, they've never really in the years that we've been going, there's never really been a Highlander presence of any kind. Like, that's
one thing they failed at. That the production and everything, Davis Panzer failed at hard, was they were right there. They were right there to be on the ground floor of conventions. Oh, yeah. But what did they do? They did their own little conventions each year. And it's like, that's no.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think they're still doing Highlander conventions anymore.
The last one was the first year you and I started this podcast, if you recall, and it was all online, remember? Because I paid through it.
That's right. Because it was during
COVID.
During COVID. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I paid,
I went. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I paid, what do they call that? I reserved way ahead of time. And because they were only going to do, I forget how many people could be in it. It was like limited to like 1,000 people or something. because they didn't want to overload the servers and whatnot. So, I got in early, and it was cool because like everybody and their brother was there, and everybody had their own little. It wasn't through Skype. It was like through a thing they had that was made specifically for it, and it was you would go in and see all the guests in their little squares, and you could chat. It was really cool. It was cool. It wasn't as cool as being the one in person, but it was cool.
Sure. I went to. I don't know if I've ever shared this story with you. I went to a Highlander Worldwide in Denver, Colorado.
Real? Oh, you went to the Denver one, huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
years and years. That might have even been before you and I met. No, it wasn't before you and I met. But
no.
Yeah. I don't think you and I were like we weren't talking the way we have started talking in subsequent years since since role playing.
Denver was 90. I think that was 99.
I think so. I had graduated already.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up, but I could tell you what year it was. Because I think the only place they ever repeated for worldwide, I think they did 2 in Australia. So that was repeat, and they did I want to say 3 in California. So, but everywhere else was like a one hit wonder, hit it and quit it kind of thing. Wow, we are 16 minutes in and talking about shit that has nothing to do with our delicious podcast.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when we don't talk for for a week.
Fair enough.
Just catching up. But yeah, so I went to that, and that was cool. Like everyone was there, Adrian and Jim and Stan and Elizabeth and Peter. So that was a good time. But
so you got to see pre-suicide Stan.
I did get to see pre-suicide Stan. Yeah. They say, well, he became an acting teacher. They say that those who can't do teach. And
well, what I understand, I can't believe we're getting into this again, but like we're getting deeper into this. But his school was very, very
successful,
and I guess the whole thing had to do with he had neck issues, I guess, and it just so. How do you fix a neck issue? Hang yourself.
You hang yourself, right? You just get rid of the neck,
right? Yeah.
He didn't. It was probably accidental. He was probably just trying to stretch out the neck muscles to get some relief, and then it went wrong. Like people who accidentally die from autoerotic asphyxiation.
David Carradine.
Right. Exactly. I'm glad you got the specific reference I was making.
I certainly did. But because I like you am a sick, twisted individual.
So sick and so twisted. Anyway, as we hit the 18-minute mark into this week's episode, how about, Jeremy, if I flambe us up some dates and deets?
Or we could just say fuck it and end right here.
Oh, or let's just keep it. You know what movie I watched last night? Do you know what movie I watched last night?
Highlander.
No.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the motion picture.
Nope.
I don't know then.
In honor of the recent passing of Val Kilmer.
Tombstone.
No, but a great movie. I'm Your Huckleberry. Great movie.
Greatest Western of all time.
I watched Top Secret.
I haven't watched that in 30
Mr. Kilmer's very first movie, a classic.
I believe that was his first major motion picture.
It was his first movie, classic Zucker parody. Of course, Zucker responsible for all the classic Airplane, Police Squad, Naked Gun, all of those
Speaking
great.
Of which, have you seen the trailer for the new Naked Gun?
I have, and I'm, I'll give it a chance, but I'm not, it didn't blow too much wind up my skirt, but I'll give it a chance. I think Liam Neeson. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say it didn't really bring me to orgasm either, but you can't replace Leslie Nielsen.
No.
You just can't.
But I'll give it a shot. We'll see how it does. I think Liam Neeson is, for all the iconic serious roles he's done, and then obviously in his later years kind of revamping himself as this like older action star with the Taken franchise and whatnot. I still think he is sorely lacking in comedic roles. Like he's got great comedic chops.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how it is. We'll see how it is. I do like that I think it's odd that they're making him like Frank Drebin Jr. Like that seems
and every character in there is Junior.
Yeah.
Notice that they're all like,
Yep.
And then they see the OJ one, and the guy's like, mm-mm.
yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how it is. I'll give it a chance. But those movies are, those first three movies, and Police Squad, that TV series, just so funny, so classic.
They're classic,
Yeah, Leslie Nielsen, one of the all-time greats, comedy-wise. So, but yeah, Top Secret, and then I wanted to watch Real Genius, but that's not streaming anywhere.
Really?
Which was surprising. But yeah, Val Kilmer, I mean, everyone shits on Batman Forever, but let's not forget that this is the dude that, his turn in Tombstone, the Doors, come on, it's Jim Morrison in the Doors, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang,
The Saint,
Top Gun, The Saint, great movie, remake of, the old Roger Moore series, Iceman and Top Gun. I mean, come on, and as bad as I say this all the time, practically, Batman Forever is probably the worst movie I've seen at least 30 times.
Yeah, well, I always said he was a great Bruce Wayne and a great Batman. It's just those movies after the first two were just so bad. They were just so bad. Yeah. And like, imagine a 34-year-old Val Kilmer as Batman in today's Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
Holy fuck. Would that be, gritty, serious, like instead of having to look at Sparkly Boy, Vampire Sparkly Boy as
right.
Like we could be having Val Kilmer.
Listen, like we're not going to agree on that because the Batman was phenomenal. It's such a good movie. It's such a good movie.
Except for Robert Pattinson, whatever the fuck his name. I just want all I'm saying is I want him to die. That's all I'm saying.
Wow.
I really fucking hate that guy.
No, like I said, we're going to disagree on that because I think the Batman was a great movie and I think he was great in it.
He was immediately unbelievable to me as soon as I saw him. It's kind of like, to me, like when the reason I've told you before, like I don't watch Tom Cruise movies because he's utterly unbelievable to me as like an action guy. Because he's 5'2", 138 pounds. He's like 64 years old, and I'm like, come on! I don't care how many planes you're jumping out of and how many motorcycles you're driving off the fucking side of the moon. You're 5'2", 138 pounds, and you're 64 years old. You're no one scared of you.
I will say that for all the crap he's gotten, I think Ben Affleck physically was a great on-screen depiction of Batman.
I have argued that with a million people, and I'm like, listen, the movie sucked ass. The Batman v Superman or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, but there has never been someone born who's in Hollywood who was more born to play the role of Bruce Wayne / Batman than Ben fucking Affleck,
Yeah, like just physicality wise, like the size, the
square jawed, cleft
right
chin,
and the size that dude got jacked up to play Like, because a lot of people don't realize that suit in those movies wasn't entirely like a molded rubber suit. Like,
yeah, that was, he got jacked.
Yeah, that size is predominantly Affleck. And listen, you want to see, outside of that physicality, you want to see the best on-screen depiction of a comic accurate Batman fight. Go watch the warehouse fight scene in that movie.
Yeah,
where he saves Martha Kent.
Martha, aka Vineyard.
Yes. So anyway, as we hit the 26-minute mark, let's finally start talking about this week's episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. As previously stated, it is our 7th episode of the 5th season, Fool for Love, and our 85th episode of the series overall, written by Douglas Petrie and directed by Nick Mark. Our original broadcast date was November 14th, 2000 on the now defunct WB network. Our regular cast, as always, includes Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy, Nicholas Brendan as Xander, Allison Hannigan as Willow, Mark Blucas as Riley, Emma Caulfield as Anya, Michelle Trachtenberg as Dawn, James Marsters as Spike, and Anthony Stewart Head as Giles. Our co-stars this week include Callie Rocha as Cecily Adams. I'm telling you, people, remember this character. Ken Feinberg as the Chaos Demon, who will feature in a flashback that we've only heard about previously. Ming Loa as the Chinese Slayer during the Boxer Rebellion flashback, and April Whedon as the Subway Slayer in the 1970s, another character that you would do well to remember as the series progresses. You're a little late, but there it is.
I'm a little late.
A special category this week, our guest stars include David Boreanaz as Angel, Mercedes McNabb as Harmony, Julie Benz as Darla, Juliet Lando as Drusilla,
and James Mayberry as Masturbating Man in Corner.
Yes, James Mayberry as Masturbating Man in Corner. And of course, Christine Sutherland as Joyce. A two-night WB event. It all starts on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The Slayer encounters a masturbating man in the corner. And in the second part of our WB two-part event, James Mayberry reprises his role on Angel as masturbating man in corner.
What is it he's after? No one knows.
What does this mysterious masturbating man want? And why is he masturbating in the corner of Sunnydale and Los Angeles?
He just stares in everyone's eyes while he's masturbating. Oh, God. Yeah, you're just like...
It's like
David
so
Boreanaz is just like...
Yeah. Just angry about it, just like...
And then... Okay, we're yeah. There's no one listening at this point. No.
They tuned out. They were like, at like the 10-minute mark, they're like, well, they're not going to be talking about the episode anytime soon. It's time to move on.
Fuck it. We'll go to another one. Fuck it.
Right. We open with Buffy, and once again,
we didn't give our
our Nielsen ratings and our synopses.
Yes.
Let's do Nielsen rating first. Our Nielsen rating for this episode was 3.6, ranking it 89 out of the 134 primetime shows airing across network television for the week, and number 3 out of the 17 primetime shows airing on the CW for the week. My synopsis reads, as Buffy grills Spike on how he killed 2 Slayers, he begins to reminisce about meeting Drusilla, Angel, and Darla.
Okay.
It's actually pretty accurate.
Mine reads, after being bested in a fight by an ordinary vampire, Buffy asked Spike to explain how he killed 2 Slayers many moons prior.
Wow. Are you going to do the whole episode like that?
That was the voice that we never came up with for, who was Tammy's watcher?
I don't think we ever gave him a name, did we?
Yeah, it was like Cletus or...
I think it might have been Cletus, something
Rufus,
like that. But Rufus, yes. But he was mute. He just drew crude stick figures, remember?
Oh, you're right. And we never, once we killed him off and we never came up with her new watcher.
Did we kill him off?
Yeah, we killed him off in... we definitely killed him off, but I can't remember. I think it was last season it had to have been season 4 of Buffy. It might have been season 3. No, anyway, we definitely killed him off. And I said, well, now we'll have to bring in a new, and we just never did.
Watcher. Yeah. Well, we haven't heard from Tammy for a long time anyway.
Just heard a sneak peek of her watcher. He just did the open here. Right.
Yeah. So we open in, once again, one of Sunnydale's many cemeteries where Buffy is on rule team patrol. And
they have one of them goddamn patrol over.
Got one of them goddamn patrols. She's on patrol and she is fighting it's Axl Rose. No, it's Joey Ramone. It's Joey Ramone. Yeah, it's from the Ramones. This vamp is totally like 1980s rocker vamp. And he's putting up a good fight. Buffy ends up getting the upper hand, but as she's about to deal her final blow, he turns the stake around on her and stabs her in the abdomen. And that is our cold open.
And she's like, ah! And she looks up at him, and he's like, oh, yeah. And that's our cold open, really.
That's our cold open, yeah.
No, but I don't know. Was he really? He wasn't really putting up a good fight.
No, I think he was.
No, you're wrong.
No, I'm not, but that's okay.
He was anyway. So yeah, he does like this little whoop-de-whoop move with the stake and flip. It would like never. It's something that would never, ever, ever, even 1 out of 10 trillion times happen in real life or work. But anyway, so we come back and she's hoofing it. She's like, well, actually, she punches him in the fucking face after he stabs her. He like does like 4 flips in the air, and he's over on the other side of a tombstone, and she like pulls it, and you can hear it like go out of her, and I'm like,
right.
oh.
And like the whole time she's pulling it out, I'm like, don't fucking pull it out. Why are you fucking pulling it out?
Did Giles or the Watcher counts? Did no one ever teach her basic first aid? Like, oh,
right.
We need you to go out every single day and fight the forces of evil and darkness. And you will probably be injured all the time. But we are not going to spend the time to teach you even the most basics of fucking field medicine that even child hunters who go through like little hunting schools learn. We're not even going to teach you that. Just go stab shit. Right. And so what does she do? Immediately she does the worst thing you could do in that situation, and she pulls it out. She punches him. She punches him, then she pulls it out. She turns to run, but she immediately loses all blood and dies. And that's our episode.
Right, and from off screen you hear, looks like you get to deal with me now, honey.
Yeah, Piper, you gonna have to deal with something out there. Tammy, I'll tell you what.
and she's back. Tammy the Vampire Slayer, everybody.
Yep, he is back. No, but it's just so dumb. Yeah, so she punches him, pulls the stake out, and takes off running. And he's giving chase. And of course, she's running like, one of the girls in an 80s slasher flick. Like super slow and hitting it, falling down and tripping. And like I'm just surprised at one point her tits don't just pop out, just be, to give the full 80s slasher flick thing. But then she like looks behind her and then turns back around and there he is, like magical Jason. And he's like, "Where are you going? Weren't we having fun?" And she's like, "Did you die of syphilis?" And he's like, "Yes." It was the 80s, okay?
It was the 80s. If it wasn't going to be syphilis, it was either going to be AIDS or a cocaine overdose.
Yes. And it might have been a mixture of all three, if I'm being honest.
And then he's like, sex, drugs, and rock and roll!
Yeah. So then, is that a steak he picks up off? Okay, because she pulls the steak that she had in her gut.
Yeah, he grabs she dropped her steak, and he grabs her steak.
Okay, if you say so. So he grabs the steak, and he's coming towards her, and he's got her pushed up against like the side of a mausoleum or whatever, and he's like, "Now I'm gonna stake you." I'm like, "Okay, you're a vampire. Why didn't you just bite her?" Whatever, but he's going to use a wooden stake on her, and he's just about to impale her for the fatality.
Fatality.
Finish her. Out of nowhere comes Riley, and he tackles the guy and punches him. And for some reason, even though Riley is completely human, can't be much of a threat to a vampire, the vampire gets totally freaked out, gets up and runs away screaming like a little bitch. After having just bested the Slayer, he's just horrifically scared of Riley the Bill. So
Riley the Bill.
So he runs off, and Riley goes over to her. And he's like, "Well, what's wrong?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't know. If you look down here where all this fucking blood is pouring out." Anyway, well,
sorry.
He's so dumb. He's just like, "Are you okay?" And she's holding her abdomen, and like, there's like entrails and blood and everything. And he's like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, fine. No, yeah, you want to go grab a coffee or something?" And she kind of slides down to the ground, and he's cradling her, and he's like, "There's nothing I can do." So he snaps her neck to put her, like you would a horse.
Really, like you would a horse or a dog that has cancer. Yeah, you just put it out of its misery.
Right.
Yeah.
Just put it down.
He was just like, he's like, "I'm sorry. Good night, sweet princess."
There's nothing I can do.
There's nothing I can do for you.
She's like, "Can you just take me to a doctor?" And he's like, "I'm afraid not. We're a mile away."
Well, as he's cradling her and like he's moving his hands into position, we as the audience realize what's about to happen, and she's just like, she's muttering, she's like, "Accelerated Slayer." And as she's getting ready to say healing, he goes, "Shh, it's all over now," and he just snaps her neck.
Just let it happen. I'm the Slayer now. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. And she looks at him. He's like, "I am the Slayer now."
I am the Slayer now. We always love a good Captain Phillips reference here on Slade, the Buffyverse Revisited.
That's right. I am the Slayer now. And he's not even Mark Bupkiss anymore. He's that actor.
He's that actor, yeah.
And he's like, "I am the Slayer now.
I am the Slayer now."
So yeah, we're barely out of one. Not even out of the first. We're just now out of the first scene.
It's gonna be a long night. It's gonna be a long night.
I'll pick it up. Let's see. Okay, going to. Okay, so I think this is supposed to be the very next morning.
Yes, we
It's
cut to the next. Yes, we cut to the next morning at
apparently
the Summers house.
Between like I don't know, we'll say it was about midnight or so when the fight and the wound happened, and then the following morning he did nothing to tend to her wound. He just took her home and just let her bleed for a while, for like I don't know 7-8 hours.
7-8 hours, right?
Because he's just now like
finishing up bandaging it.
Yeah, they've got alcohol and everything, and
let's at least give him the benefit of the doubt, and let's presume that she would like this was an end of the night slay. Like let's at least give him the benefit of the doubt and say it was like right before sunrise that she.
Oh, okay, I thought you were going to say let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say that maybe he's changing the dressing.
Oh,
that he had already done. No, you're not giving him that much credit.
No. I'm saying let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say that her encounter with Rocker Vamp was like right before sunrise.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So Joey Ramone has escaped. And we're in her room and like I said, he's tending to the wound. He's just finished taping it all up, and you see a bunch of like bloody rags and cotton balls, and you see the alcohol and all that. And apparently he's been trained in basic field medic stuff, as most Army people are. Well, Army people who are above, like privates and stuff, they get basic field medic training. And so he's doing that, and she remarks that it's a good thing he has that training. And I'm like, yeah, since your fucking watcher doesn't even bother to teach you how to put a fucking Band-Aid on, apparently. That bothered me, clearly, for the first part of this episode. Anyway, so then Dawn just comes barging in, and Buffy's kind of back to being a hateful fucking bitch again to her little sister. Even though she now knows the truth and everything, but she catches herself and she kind of chills, and then Jocelyn Lehure Summers comes in, and she's like, "Are you?" And she goes, "How did she say that? Are you what's the word?
Disinfecting something?"
Yeah. She goes, "Are you disinfecting something?" And I'd be like, "No, just that giant wound." But they're about to like come up with something, but Dawn actually jumps in and she's like, "Oh no, it's me. I'm doing crazy nail polish things." And Mom's like, "You're so dumb. I hate you." And she leaves. And
I'm glad I'm not your real mother.
I'm so glad you're not a real person. Which actually she's a 100% real person, as we'll come to find out. So anyway, that kind of saves Buffy's butt, and
Dawn's very proud of herself.
Yes, and Buffy's like, "Listen, you're gonna have to help me around the house because I don't want Mom to find out about this. So you're gonna have to help me, like do my chores and shit around the house." And I was like, "Buffy, you fucking cunt! You know damn well you're gonna heal in like 2.5 hours." Like
right. She even tells Riley when Riley's like, "Well, maybe we should get you to the hospital," and she's like, "No, I'll be fine. Accelerated Slayer healing is part of the deal."
Yep. Yeah. So it's like she's going to heal. Okay, we'll be generous and say a day.
Right.
Like in a day she'll be healed. But she's like, "Dawn, I'm going to need you to do all my chores all week," and Dawn's like, "I don't even do my fucking chores." I'm going to do yours, but she agrees to it. So, and then, Riley's like, "Well, what can I do?" And he's like, "Well, I'll do the patrol tonight." And Buffy's clearly like, "Oh, how, ooh, yeah, ooh, ooh,
yeah, about that.
yeah.
You know what would be, better than just you? And like, listen, like, Riley's obviously he's just like regular old, G.I. Joe now at this point, no superhuman abilities, but he still does have military training specific to this type of thing.
Yes, but, and this is something I realized when in the next scene when he's out patrolling, he has no weapons whatsoever other than stuff he can get from the Scoobs. Right. So he doesn't have any of his like cool military gadgets. He doesn't even have like a fucking a 22 pistol. He's got nothing. He doesn't even have like a cool uniform to wear anymore. He's just out there in like sweatpants and a fucking like a sweater.
Right.
So yeah, but she's like, oh, what would be better is if that happened, but you didn't do it. And so then he kills himself. He can't.
No, she's like, what would be better is if that happened, but you also took the rest of the gang with you, who really only regularly proved to be a liability.
Who have actually, maybe on 2 occasions, actually helped me, kill stuff. And on all the other occasions, they've either been captured and held captive, or they have just flat out gotten away and almost gotten me killed. But take them with you if you would. Right. And he's like, okay, fine. Well, we cut to that scene, and what are they doing but walking through the okay. We we see Riley doing all his military maneuvering and shit, and he gets up behind this fucking...
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you here, because, like, I just said, like, Riley's got military training specific to doing this kind of thing, and yet he still looks like just this giant, awkward golem. Like,
he would never
around.
He would never be in the Army, probably military, period, maybe the Air Force, because of his height. They would have never he would have never went beyond like a private, like he certainly would not have been selected as a special op. That's just not what they do in the military. They'd have been like, you are way too tall, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, he looks like a big clumsy basketball player is what he looks like out there. And he comes running up behind this tombstone, and he's all looking and all shit. And he's all like, does the hand thing. And this killed me, because then we cut behind him, and it's Willow, Xander, and Anya who are with him, and they're sharing a bag of chips, crunching loudly. And Xander says, hey, what's the hand thing? And I'm like, what? Xander, no, you were military boy. Yeah. You still retain all those memories. That's how he's able to do the gun shit all the time. I'm like, he knows what the fuck that means.
Right. And yet he doesn't.
But in this particular scene, he's high school freshman dumb Xander again. And they're all eating chips and talking all loud. And then at one point, like, Xander yells out at him, and he's like, what the listen, I know I'm not the best soldier in the fucking world, but damn, I'm not eating fucking bugles and fucking screaming out here. And so he's like, he's like, we should all split up.
This whole scene to me was dumb. Just so like the three of them know better.
This is the first time I know.
Yeah, like, this is so, like, out of place for where they are in the series right now. This
is fucking Bush League shit, James. Bush League.
This is season 1 bullshit.
Yeah, they fucking know better. They wouldn't pull this shit with Buffy.
Right, they wouldn't pull this shit with Buffy.
No!
It was like they got a substitute teacher and they traded seats.
Exactly. And names. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's Bush League bullshit, and it pisses me off, quite frankly. So he's like, we should split up. And they realize what he's doing, and they're like, no, come on, we'll be better, we'll be better. And he's like, well, okay, at least fucking ditch the chips. So what does Willow do? She gets a big ass handful of chips and continues munching on them, but sets the bag down. I would punch them, each one by one.
It's just so, like I said, like I can't get over how just seemingly out of character this is for Willow in particular.
Well, it's like they're doing it, like you said, on purpose to like
Right.
Like they hate him, which they've never shown that to be the case.
Right.
It's really, and they do know that there are actually deadly things, and like, yeah, I don't know, bro. I don't know either. I really don't. But they continue on, and they spot Joey Ramone, and he's going into yet another mausoleum. There's like 37 cemeteries in Sunnydale, and each of those cemeteries has got like 37 fucking mausoleums in them. So, or isn't that what they're called? Are they called something crypts, or I don't know
Crypts,
what else?
mausoleums, yeah,
whatever. So he goes into one. Riley sneaks up and peeks in, and there's a nest in there. It's a nest of vampires.
They're partying hard.
Yeah, they're drinking alcoholic beverages, and frankly, I don't think all of them are 21 or over.
No.
So he should have called the police. Is what he should have
called the police. Yeah.
Yes. That's what a responsible military. Oh, he's not military anymore. Former military man should do, but he didn't.
It's what a responsible adult would do.
He just allowed them to continue underage drinking, and it's sad, quite frankly.
It doesn't sit well with me, honestly.
No, I've thought about contacting the parents council for whatever they were called, for annoying cunts, but I didn't. The
PCAC, the Parents Council for Annoying Cunts.
There you go, the PCAC. So anyway, he's like, all right, guys, we can't do shit. There's too many of them. So we'll just wait. We'll come back in the daytime. They'll be asleep, and we'll just murder them all in their sleep. And they're all like, yay, okay, sounds good. So the truth is, though, Riley intends on joining them to kill the Scooby. No. So anyway, we cut to the Bufferoni, and she's kind of rattled, obviously, having her shit pushed in by fucking Joey Ramone. And she's talking to Giles. They're at the magic box, and she's talking to Giles about it. And she's like, I don't get it. I'm in the best shape I've ever been in. I've been training, like crazy lately. And I'm like, have you? Because we haven't seen you do jack shit, except in, what was it, episode 2, where she did the handstand for like 10 seconds. Because other than that, we have seen zero training. But apparently she's been training her little took-us off. And she's like, so I don't understand, we need to find out more about all the other Slayers and how they died. And they're going through books and journals and stuff of previous Watchers. And it always ends with just, they had their final battle. They died. That was it. And there's no details. And I'm like, this just seems like a weird thread to chase, because I'm like, okay, even if they laid it out blow for blow, like how is that going to help you? Because what's the likelihood that you're going to get into a fight with a creature and it's going to go like blow for blow, and you're going to be like, oh, I remember in the journal of Shirley MacLaine, the former Slayer, who was able to survive by doing the Frankensteiner off the top rope at just the right moment. And I don't know, it's weird, but Giles is like, yeah, it would be helpful if we had more information, but as has been shown prior to you, Buffy, the Watchers Council is utterly fucking useless, and I don't know why we exist, quite frankly. So she kind of realizes that she knows somebody who can probably help. And Giles was like, Angel? And she's like, And he's like, Adam? And she's like, and then he's like, the master. And she's like, and then he goes, oh? And then we cut to her beating up on Spike.
Of course, because he refuses to move. I do want to say real quick.
You goddamn move. Sorry.
Right. I do want to say real quick that I did like this scene between Buffy and Giles.
Yeah.
In the magic box, because at one point, Buffy is, lamenting about the fact that, the previous Watchers didn't keep fuller accounts of the death of their slayers, and, how the journals just stop. And Giles is like, well, if they're anything like me, they probably found the subject too. And like Buffy interjects, and she's like, unseemly, you Watchers are such prigs sometimes. And Giles cuts her off, and he's like, I was gonna say painful, too painful.
Like, say because I love you and care about you, but since you're being a cunt,
right. And then they share kind of like a silent look between them, which is the first part of what you just said is just kind of like that silent, like, I love you and care about you, and it would be too painful a subject to write about when it happens.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I liked the scene between them.
No, 100%. But when we're doing our revisit here, I'm just doing shit. We're just going over the basics, because people have watched the episode. So, in other words, there was no need for you to come in and run your fucking mouth. You're fired. You're fired. Okay? I don't want any more of this Bush League shit. Oh, God damn it. God damn it. He's quit again. Ladies and gentlemen, this man has quit. He's trying to figure out how to turn his camera off. There, he got it. This man has quit our show now at least, I'm going to say, 15, 16 times. Whereas I would like you to know that I have only quit 50 to 60 times. Oh, he's back.
My attorney advised me that I'm obligated to stay.
I was going to mention that, but you didn't give me a chance. So anyway, where did I leave off now? Oh yeah, so she's beating up on Spike in the crypt because he won't fucking move.
He just refuses to move.
Yeah, it's well, I was about to say something, but now I'm thinking, yeah, I think that's actually what it is. I think he likes it. He wants her to know where he's at.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So she's all like, you've killed 2 slayers, and he's like, oh, yes, I have. And then she's like, that was oddly sexual. And he's like, oh, sorry. Yes, I have. and then we like flash cut to them in the bronze. And she's like, and you're going to tell me how he did it. And then she holds up a wad of cash, and she's like, excuse me. She's like, you lay it all out for me. You get the cash. Oh, and when they're in the bronze, he's got a couple of really good lines at the beginning. The first one, he's like, there are a lot of American beers that are, really get a bad rap. Or there's a lot of American beers that are really overlooked or something like that. And he's like, and this one is not one of them.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty good line. And then after she says what she wants, and you lay it all out to me and you'll get the cash, he's like, he goes, damn it, I wish I could remember I got to start keeping the script next to me or something so I can look at the exact lines. But he says something like, basically she's like, you have to get me some hot wings.
Yeah. He goes, so they're going back and forth, and she's like, you killed 2 Slayers, you tell me how and you get the cash. And he's like, right, you want to learn about how I bested the Slayers and you want to learn fast. Right then, we fought, I won, the end, pay up. And she's like, that's not what and he cuts her off and he says, what did you want? A quick demo, a blow-for-blow description you can map out and memorize? It's not about the moves. And since I agreed to your little proposition, we can do this my way. Wings. And Buffy's like, what? And Spike's like, spicy buffalo wings. Order me up a plate. I'm feeling peckish.
Yeah, there you go. And so that was a good line. And so he kind of she turns to get the waitress's attention to order the wings, and he realizes she's wounded. And he's like, oh shit. So he fucks with her about that a little bit, and she's like, have you always been this annoying? And he's like, I've always been bad, baby. And I was like, bow, chicka, wow, wow.
Bow, chicka, wow, wow.
Then we cut to old times, and it says London, 1880. And what is happening in London in the 1880s, James?
We see that Spike hasn't always been bad. He was actually a very foppish gentleman in his living days. A poet by the name of William, and we see him at a presumably a high society gathering, and he's working on a poem and trying to figure out another word for gleaming, and someone ends up taking the poem from him and begins to read it out loud, and everyone starts laughing at him and the poem, and we find out that we had previously been told in season 1 that Spike had earned the name William the Bloody because of how awful he was, and the nickname Spike because he enjoyed driving railroad spikes through people's heads. And we find out in this flashback that that's not true at all, and that he was actually called William the Bloody because his poetry was so bloody awful, and someone said that they'd rather have a railroad spike shoved through their head than hear any more of it. And
why don't we just fucking out the poor guy? Jeez.
So the poem turns out to have been about this upper class society woman by the name of Cecily, he's in love with, and he not confronts her, but goes to talk to her, and she basically berates him into admitting that the poem's about her, and she isn't pleased at all, and he he confesses his love to her, and he says, I just want you to see me. And she says, that's the problem. I do see you. And she rejects him, telling him that not only does she not feel anything for him, but he's beneath her. And he is understandably, honestly, devastated. And he leaves in tears. And as he's leaving, he's tearing up his poem, and he bumps into a group of
he's like,
stupid William, stupid asshole, stupid William, stupid. And he's tearing up the poem as he's walking through the streets, and he bumps into a group of strangers and tells them to watch where they're going, and You didn't do it this time, but I hope there's a scene coming up that I hope you're prepared for.
Apparently not.
Oh, okay. So
I know what you're gonna say.
okay.
Yeah.
So he which is fine because we really don't know right now. We know, but we don't know.
Right.
So then we catch up to him in some kind of barn, it looks like, and
Hey, barn.
And he's crying, and all of a sudden,
being a little bitch. Let's be honest.
And dude just got his heart ripped out by this bitch. Come on.
I know, but he's like 35, and he's crying like he's like 7.
So he's in this barn crying, and all of a sudden, Drusilla appears.
What?
What? And she asks what is making him cry, and ultimately comforts him by telling him that she sees how great he is and his worth and his imagination, and promises him that his future is bright and this and that, and asks him if he wants it, and he says yes, and she sires him. And that is the birth of Spike.
Yeah.
And we cut back to the present day, and we see that Riley has made his way back to that mausoleum full of vampires that he previously told the gang they would go back in the morning and kill. And they're still partying. And oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead.
Okay.
I jumped ahead. Never mind. So yeah, Drew sires Spike, and we cut back to the Bronze, and Spike, it basically tells Buffy, like, I wasn't alive until I died, and he's like, I decided I needed to get myself a gang. And we cut to Yorkshire in 1880, so still the same year. And we open on Spike being beat up by someone.
Where the hell's that coming from? Oh! It's been a while. It's okay.
It's Angelus.
It
is beating Spike up because they're holed up in the bottom of a coal mine because Spike's refusal to keep a low profile. And we see now that even though it's been less than a year since he's been turned, he is now sporting his very distinctive Spike accent and his Spike attitude. And Angelus calls him William, and he protests and says his name is Spike now. And basically, Angelus tells him that his refusal to keep a low profile and his behavior and his tendency to, incite mobs and riots just for fun is, keeps putting them in more and more danger. And Angel, Spike tells Angelus that he being Angelus, only gets into fights that he knows he can win instead of fighting with any sort of tenacity. And Angelus says that that's because he prefers the artistry of the kill, and that's what separates them from being animals. And Spike keeps insulting Angelus, who finally just unleashes on Spike, and Spike laughs at him, kind of telling him that he just proved his whole point. And Angelus tells Spike that if they're unable to get through to him, then maybe someday one of these angry mobs would. And he says, either them or maybe the Slayer. To which Spike responds, "What's a Slayer?" And we cut back to Buffy and Spike in the Bronze, and Spike tells Buffy that from that point on he became obsessed with killing the Slayer, and he kind of attacks Buffy, and she immediately reaches for the pool cue that he's holding in his hand, and he tells her that this is the first lesson. The Slayer always has to be ready to reach for her weapon, because vampires already have theirs, and he vamps out to prove his point. And then he launches into the story of the first Slayer he killed, which was in China during the Boxer Rebellion in 1900. And we see him and the Chinese Slayer of that time fighting, and she gives him the scar he has on his left eyebrow, and he disarms her. She's fighting with a sword, and he disarms her, and she's getting ready to so there's a big fight all through this burning, whatever it is. It's burning around them, and they're fighting, and he ends up disarming her, and she goes to reach for a steak on the floor, and Spike grabs her and kills her. He's got kind of a funny line here. Before she dies, she says to him in Chinese, "Tell my mother I'm sorry." And Spike looks at her and he's like, "I'm sorry, love, I don't speak Chinese." And then throws her to the ground dead.
And then she's like, "That's okay, because I'm actually speaking fucking Mandarin, you fucking racist piece of shit."
Right.
And then he's like, "Oh," and then she's like, "Canceled."
Right. Before I go on with the scene, this does kind of beg the question, and I've wondered this with Buffy as well. How come the Slayer is always stationary?
Like where they're from, kind of thing?
Yes.
Yeah, well, Buffy kind of wasn't. I mean, she was activated in L.A., and
right, but then she moved to Sunnydale. Right.
Yeah, but she, like, what you're saying, she's still staying in the same geographical region.
Right.
Yeah, that is because it's actually stupid. Like, you would think the Slayer would be like a roaming, like Supernatural, always on the road, going around town to town, slaying some bitches, and yeah, you would think. Exactly. Now, Buffy's at least makes a little more sense because she's on the Hellmouth, and so there's like a super deep concentration of evil there.
Right, right.
But yeah. You had to go and fucking bring that up, and now I can't unthink. God damn it. Damn it, James.
Sorry. It's kind of something I've always pondered, and then when watching this episode, I'm like, so the Chinese Slayer got called and obviously never left like China or like the areas she got called from. Like, why aren't Slayers like Why don't they travel in Rome? Like you just said, like supernatural, like, you know, going from town to town.
They were
like,
slayers, basically, and they were going around fucking from all over the country slaying shit. And damn it, James, damn it. Because the next slayer we see, she's from New York and is called in New York, and that's where she's fighting Spike. But Kendra was fucking Jamaican, and she came to Sunnydale.
Right.
I don't know. Who the fuck knows?
Faith was activated in Massachusetts, and she came to Sunnydale.
Because she was like, dude, fucking Massachusetts or L.A.? Let me think about bye. You know.
So right after Spike kills the Chinese Slayer in 1900, Drusilla shows up, and she's all excited by the mess he's made and the fact that he killed a Slayer. And
dude, he's like, I heard that, you know, the blood of Slayers and aphrodisiac, and he's got it on his hands, and he fucking gives her his finger. Dude, that little with the finger in the mouth in the up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
Yeah. You weren't so gay in that moment, were you?
No, I was so straight then, man. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, it's Drew though, and she's all fucking cuckoo and crazy and
right. And then they have sex right then and there.
They actually did.
Yeah. And then we run in
the corpse of the Slayer. That's what was
right.
You know?
And then we cut to outside, presumably a while later, unless Spike's a 2-pump jump, in which case
it was 3 minutes.
Right. And they run into Angelus and Darla, but they don't really, because as anybody knows, Angel has had his soul restored at this point. So please head over to Angel Season 2, Episode 7, Darla, to get the full rundown on why an insouled Angel is still hanging around with Spike and Drew and Darla. So he offers half-hearted congratulations and then suggests that they get the fuck out of town before some bad shit goes down because, well, A, it's the middle of the Boxer Rebellion, and Spike just killed a Slayer. So,
the Slayer police are coming.
Right. So, we cut back to the Bronze, and Spike tells Buffy that it was the best night of his life. And Buffy is utterly disgusted because it's obviously he got off on it. Like he didn't pull any punches in the storytelling. So she knows that he and Drew had sex right on top of the dead Slayer's corpse.
Yeah, he described it in insane detail. Not just the killing, but also the 3 minutes of sex that took place after.
Right. So she's clearly disgusted and tells Spike how disgusted she is. And he tells her that even if she were to kill tens of thousands of vampires, all it would take for one of them to kill her would be for one of them to have just one good day. And that it would boil down to Buffy simply becoming complacent in that moment. And that's when we cut to Riley, who has returned to the vampire nest alone. And he barges in there, stakes Joey Ramone.
Yeah.
And then pulls the pin on a hand grenade and literally like casually rolls it into the mausoleum and then books it out of there, and it explodes and kills all the vampires inside.
Which I wanted to bring this up, but you're looking at me like I'm stupid. So
no, go ahead.
No. I just mean, I think you know what I'm going to say, and you're like, "Are you really going to ask this?" But
no,
aware that vampires could be killed by grenades.
God, you're an idiot. No.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm gonna presume. I'm gonna use my like whatever. I don't know the words for it, but I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt in this scene and say that when the vampires blew up, it blew off their heads and they fucking turned to dust.
Okay. I thought you were gonna say like it caught them all on fire, and okay.
Or that either the explosion caught them all on fire and they died, or when they blew up, their heads went and they dusted. One of those two, or a combination of both, would be my guess.
Okay. Fine.
Is that satisfactory to you?
You suck on that thing quite well, I gotta tell you.
Wow, you're being very gay today. So then we cut to Spike regaling Buffy of the story of the second Slayer he killed in New York, 1977. A Slayer who at this time is not given a name, but you're definitely going to want to remember the Slayer from 1977 in New York that Spike killed.
A Slayer, which at this time has no name. I know his name. Here I am. I'm the master of your
universe. Anyway, so we cut to Spike in full Billy Idol.
Yeah, well, he looks exactly like Billy Idol.
He's gone full Billy Idol, and
by the way, it's taken him 77 years to find and engage in fisticuffs another Slayer.
Right, which just brings me back to a point we argued about a few episodes ago when you were like, Spike's thing is that he kills Slayers. It's not, though. It's really not. He killed two.
But but no one else. Amongst vampires, that's a big deal. Like, they've never stated another vampire who even killed one. Well, Drew, when she killed Kendra after she had her all doodly. Right. But, it kind of is his thing. That's kind of is what he's known for. He's like, oh, he killed two Slayers, fucked another one. What?
So this time he gives her the literal play-by-play of the fight that's taking place on a subway car in New York.
Cool. This is cool.
Yeah,
like
it's
just
great.
A cool, like you're in New York because they're on the subway and even if they hadn't put everything about this scene, you're like, oh, they didn't have to put New York on there. They could have just put the year and you'd have known, oh, they're in fucking New York, And it's a cool scene. Sorry, I had to jump in and say that.
No, you're fine. Because other than that, it's a cool scene because he's narrating the fight as it happened play by play. But during the fight, you see 1977 Billy Idol Spike talking to Buffy.
Yeah. Through the camera, yeah.
Right. And it's interspersed with modern Spike and Buffy fighting outside the Bronze.
Right.
As he's like walking her through the fight. He's walking her through that, and he, of course, gets the upper hand, and he snaps her neck and kills her. And I should have noted that this Slayer is wearing a very nice full-length leather duster that Spike immediately procures for himself after he kills her. And now we know both the origin of Spike's eyebrow scar and his black leather duster. as well as why he is really called William the Bloody and Spike.
We get lots of good Spike goodies in this episode.
So he continues to explain to her that the key to his beating these Slayers wasn't in the fight. It wasn't the moves or the blows or the technique. It was that every Slayer has a death wish because they deal with it every day. They delve it out every day. They're the cause of it every day. And they have a deep down desire to experience death and what it's like.
And sometimes get complacent.
And he tells Buffy that even she has that wish. And it's her ties to the world around her that keep her there. You know, her mom, little sis, the Scoobies. But ultimately, the Slayer wants to know what comes next. And they wish for that final piece after spending their lives, you know, being responsible for saving the world. And he tells her that the second that desire takes over, that's when the Slayer dies. Because there's countless vampires out there just waiting to take advantage of that moment of complacentness. And Buffy, of course, rejects that. And we see that they're practically nose to nose at this point. And Spike fucking leans in for a kiss.
He's all like,
and yeah. And Buffy is disgusted, and
she actually bites his tongue off. It looks painful.
And he grabs her, and he is like, you know, prove me wrong. You know, I know you want to dance. And Buffy clocks him and pushes him to the ground, and she says, you know, even assuming that that's true, it wouldn't be you who gets that chance. And she tells him because he's beneath her.
And throws the money all on him all over the alley.
And walks away. And Spike breaks down crying again as he starts to gather up the money. And it was, listen, I'm going to stop here for a minute because it was, I felt bad for him.
You need to cry.
Huh?
You need to cry.
Yeah, I need to let it out a minute. Hold on.
I need to stop here for just
just give me a minute, man. Just give me a minute. No, you feel bad for Spike.
Oh yeah, it's super
in that minute.
Fucking killer.
Like it's, you know, especially for her to use those same words that Cecily had used. And again, I forgot to mention it during that scene, but Cecily is a character that you guys are going to want to remember because she's going to be, she's going to play a role further down the line, much like.
I'll just throw it out there. She's actually patient zero of HIV.
She is, yeah. We learned that in a flashback to 1982. Further down the line. She's the one that fucked the monkey in Africa and and brought AIDS back to the US.
Oh, I couldn't quit laughing. I was going to say that too. She was doing missionary work down in Africa, and she took it a little literally and did missionary work with actual monkeys. And she blessed the rains down in Africa.
Yeah.
Yep.
I bless the rains down in Africa.
the AIDS back to America.
America. I fucked gorillas down in Africa. I brought the AIDS to America. Wow.
So canceled.
We are so canceled. Actually, quick side note, surprise. Do you remember I sent you? I'm pretty sure I sent you a explanation of someone's headcanon of why Toto's Africa is about a werewolf seeking a cure for his curse.
No, you've never sent me that. No.
Didn't I? I could have sworn I did because of how much you love werewolves. I'll try and find it again and send it to you.
I was going to say, you got to send me that.
I'll try and find it again.
I thought you were going to say it was someone's headcanon as to why Toto's Africa was actually about Toto from The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, no. So yeah, Spike's, yeah, this scene is just like, man, and they do, this isn't the last of it either. Like, there's some scenes in a few episodes going forward where, like,
even into the next couple seasons,
where you feel bad for Spike.
Yes. All the way through to the end of the series, there's a few there where you're just like, and he does a good fucking job.
There's one scene in particular in maybe the next episode or no, it's a couple episodes from now, where literally James Marsters doesn't say anything, and you see Spike run through just a gamut of emotions, and you feel bad for him.
The character of Spike from now until the last episode of the series, he's got a rocky, rough road ahead.
Well, yes, I will agree with that, but there is a point where he ceases to be in my opinion, and I know there's people out there that will argue it with me, including yourself. There is a point where he ceases to be a character that you feel compassion for. And they try to redeem him afterwards, but in my opinion, it falls completely flat, and I hate every minute of it.
Well, it should have, yeah, and it's really not the character's fault, and it's not James Marsters' fault. It was sicko Joss Whedon. It should have never been done. It's been talked about by both actors since then.
Right.
It should have never happened, but unfortunately, yes, for some people who are bitches, it's been ruined.
Did you just call me a bitch?
No! What?
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 So yeah, he's there crying, and he starts gathering up the bills, and then he just immediately turned, like, his face to just full on anger and hatred. And we see that he has gone back to his crypt, and he starts digging through a chest, and he pulls out a double-barreled shotgun, and he is intent on murdering the Slayer at this point. And Harmony
on Moida.
And Harmony is there, and she's begging him to reconsider because he always fails to kill her. And, you know, she's like, you won't even get a chance because the chip in your head is going to go off, and you're going to be all, and she's going to kick your ass and probably stake you. And Spike says, you know, the pain might last for a couple of hours, but ultimately that's fine because Buffy will be dead for a lot longer than that. And we cut.
I'm all like, will she though?
Will she though? She's already died and come back once.
Like, yes. And I'm like, will she? And then he's like, fuck. And he leaves.
Right. At that point, we cut to South America in 1998. And Drew and Spike are having a little lovers quarrel. And it's because she can't look at him without seeing and feeling the Slayer all around him because of their alliance, as people may remember, Spike's alliance with Buffy against Angelus back in season 2.
And it was just a game of fucking dominoes, but Drusilla's like, you allied with her. And he's like,
right.
It was just a random fucking game of dominoes. And she's like, I'm out.
Right. And standing behind them as they're fighting, we finally get to see this chaos demon that we heard about back in season 3 that Drew left Spike for. And it's just this big dude with big antlers, and there's just slime dripping off of them.
On now, and, come on. We know it's not slime.
Right.
Okay.
And we basically find out here that Drew knew that Spike was in love with the Slayer long before he ever realized it. And that's the end of that scene. And we cut to the Summers home. And what's happening there, Jeremy? Wrap it up for us.
Well, there's a massive 4-alarm fire.
4-alarm fire.
It could have been a 5-alarm, but everyone in Sunnydale sucks at their job, so it was only 4 alarms.
Right. Actually, for the people who may not know, could you please explain what dictates the alarm count for a fire?
I have no fucking idea.
Oh, really?
Really?
So a 4-alarm fire is when 4 different fire departments have to respond.
Oh, well, I know that. I thought you meant like dictate, like what dictates how many they're going to call, like how many, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I apologize then. I worded it improperly. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. But yeah, if it's 2-alarm fire, it's 2 firehouses, and etc. Yeah. Like exactly. 9/11 was almost a 3-fire alarm.
I don't know what do you want me to say about that.
Okay. Were we having 9/11 jokes last? Anyway. So so we cut back to the Buffy, the Summers house, and Buffy gets home, and she's still kind of shaken from the events of this episode, and goes up to her mother's room, and her mother's clearly packing. And I kept thinking, why isn't the first words out of Buffy's mouth, what are you doing? But
right.
They engage in just idle chatter for a little while. And then she says, oh, by the way, where the fuck are you going? Why are you packing a suitcase at like 9:00 at night? And Joyce is like, listen, Buffy, I tried to live a suburban mother life. I've really tried. But the truth is, the streets are calling me. And I need to go back where my skills are best utilized. As you are the Slayer, I slay cock. And I need to go back to doing that.
Wow.
I just kept going on and on just to see if you were going to show any type of reaction whatsoever. No, so she's like, well, you know, the thing was nothing, and well, it's might be something. that the doctors think they might have found something, so they want me to do a CAT scan, which I've never heard of somebody being called in for observation overnight at the hospital to have a CAT scan. I've never heard of that, but that's what's going on. So I guess this is just kind of the straw that breaks the camel's back. So Buffy goes outside on the back porch and sits down and just basically loses her shit finally. As Spike walks up with the shotgun, and she hears it click. She looks up at him, and he blows her fucking face off. He empties both barrels and leaves nothing but a fucking just a stump. And credits.
Yeah. And that's it. That's the end of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, folks.
Forever.
Jeremy, it's been great doing this podcast with you. Join us next week when we begin season 2 of Angel.
With a retrospective R.I.P. Buffy Summer special episode. No, she does hear him click it, cock the gun, and she looks up and she's like, what do you want now? And he's all evil and mad at first, and then he's like, he sees how fucked up she looks, crying and everything, and he's like, what's wrong? And she's like, nothing, fuckface. And he's like, okay. And anyway, he sits down next to her, tosses the gun aside. He's like, is there anything I can do? And she doesn't say anything. And then he just kind of puts his arm or his hand over on her shoulder and is patting her. And the camera's panning back, and that's credits.
Yeah. Again, it was like James Marsters in this scene was great. Like he went from like, I'm gonna kill this bitch to like, he saw how like wrecked she was, and he immediately like felt bad and wanted to comfort her. And then just the awkwardness of like that, like he was unsure of whether or not he should try and comfort her. It's that awkward pat like, on the back.
It's the beginning of a. It's what should I say? It's the perfect depiction of a sick, twisted,
right
relationship that only gets sicker and more twisted as time goes on.
Right. So a little trivia, fun facts, whatever. So this is the second time we see Buffy almost get killed by her own stake in her own hand. The first being the episode Helpless. Real quick, so there's 2 flashbacks in this episode, which are repeated over in season 2, episode 7, Darla of Angel. And the first one is the scene in the street where William leaves the party and bumps into them. And here we only see them from behind, right before being sired by Drew. In Darla, we see that same flashback, but there's the added reveal that Drusilla is jealous of Angelus's and Darla's relationship, and they suggest she go sire herself her own companion, which then leads into William being sired. The second one, which is the one that takes place during the Boxer Rebellion, and we see Angel, who, as I previously stated, has yet to reveal that he now has a soul to anyone but Darla, finds out that Spike killed a Slayer. And here, in this episode, we see that it looks like he's envious or even praising him. In the episode Darla, we see when Drusilla states that she smells fear, and Angelus demands they leave right away. It's because he knows that there's a family hiding nearby because he helped hide them away.
After only accepting a large payment.
A large payment, yes. Let's see. Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
Would you like to play everyone's favorite game, Body Count?
Dude, this is hard because of all the nest and everything. So I'm just gonna say 9.
1, 2, 3, 4. You know what? I'm going to give you 9. I'm going to give you that one. Because there's definitely 4 and then the vampire nest, but let's easily surmise that there are at least 5 vampires there.
Yeah, at least.
So, yeah. Let's see. Boo, 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 boo. Anything else? Our music this week. Avenue A with Run Cold, Johann Sebastian Bach. Partita 3 for violin solo in E major. Crushing Velvet, Triple X. Felix Mendelssohn, Overture to A Midsummer Night's Dream. Holly Golightly with Run Cold, the Killingtons with Belladovia, Virgil with Heal Yourself, and of course, Thomas Wanker with our original score and Chinese Slayer.
You left one out.
Did I? What?
Prince with Pussy Control.
What? I don't think that was in here.
It was during the scene where Spike and Drew were about to bang on top of the dead Slayer.
Really? Wait, so how are you watching yours?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, I was going to say, well, I don't recall that. But, okay.
Oh, Pussy Control. Sorry.
I was like, maybe he's watching on the DVDs, and that's what was on the DVDs. That's certainly not what's in the Disney Plus Hulu version.
No.
Yeah. So that's that. Jeremy, why don't you tell myself and our legion of fans how many Billy Idol spikes do you give this episode?
Bro, it's a solid 4. I don't even have to think about it. I mean, it checks all the boxes. It flows nicely. There's no egregious shit in it that just makes me nuts. Little things I can pick at but that's fun.
Right.
But like shit that actually just drives me crazy. There's none of that. And since Spike is my favorite character, as everyone knows, this is basically like his origin episode. So, it would get a 5, but I as I have stated numerous times, I only give a 5 to an episode that I consider a must watch. And as much as I love Spike, I just can't give this a 5. I can't call this a must see episode. But so it's going to get a 4 for that. Dude, we're finally starting to get to see Marster's range as an actor instead of just being, evil, devious Spike. We're going to start seeing a whole range of his shit from here on. And, yeah, I don't even know what specific, like super specific to talk about. I mean, that scene with him in the alley is just magnificent. It's just a good fucking episode. That's, it's just a solid episode. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if I could talk myself into saying that it's a must see, I'd give it a 5, but I try to be not stingy or picky, but I try to be selective on the 5s. So it's a 4.
Sure.
It's a 4.
5s usually for me tend to be, early in the series, season premieres and then season finales. Occasionally an episode in the middle there, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
So with that being said, James, why don't you tell our massive quantity of fanatics, as well as myself, give us your thoughts on this episode, and on a scale of 1 to 5 Prince Pussy Controls, where do you rate it?
I'm with you, brother. This is a 4, and a solid 4 at that. Listen, I'm not gonna lie. I teetered on the edge of going full 5 with this one. Honestly, it's that good. But I had to deduct a point for the B story the Riley Scooby thing. Like, it was just like, and I get that you kind of want to distract from your A story a little bit in some episodes, but it was just it was, man, it was too out of character for
and sometimes you don't need that goofy B story. Your A story is so good,
right.
you know.
Right. But I just felt like I talked about when we were revisiting the episode, I just felt like the Willow and Xander of it all in that scene was just so like not, it was so out of character for them at this point in the show. You know, like you jokingly said, it was Bush League bullshit, and it was, you know. So I couldn't, for that, I couldn't pull the trigger on calling it a 5, which is kind of sad because otherwise, man, like you said, this episode was firing on all cylinders. You know, the writing, just everything, the acting, man. You know, we know this cast is phenomenal in general, and like you said, we're finally getting to see that from Marsters. You know, he's been very
one-dimensional.
I was kind of hesitant to say that, but at the end of the day, he has been. Spike's been a pretty one-dimensional character up until, you know, getting the chip in his head, really.
Yep.
And they're really starting to play with that a lot. So yeah, it's a solid 4. Nothing too egregiously wrong with it. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, that B story, just to expand a little bit, it's so unnecessary in this episode. Like, they could have just thrown in a few more Spike and Buffy scenes in the place of that, and this, I might have had to have pulled the trigger and called this a must-see 5.
Right.
It just seemed like I don't want to flog a dead horse, but that was just all around was just stupid. The B story and how they had the Scoobies acting, and it was just dumb.
Yeah. So
anyway, James, what does BuffyRevisited.com have to do with us?
It's where
ours?
it is ours. It is primarily pictures of my nipples.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
We had to, so listen, we had to change things up a little bit. We had to get rid of nipples.
We had to get rid of our OnlyFans.
Yeah, because as an OnlyFans creator, a lot of people don't realize this. As an OnlyFans creator, you have to pay OnlyFans to be on the platform.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't worth it. We were like, you know what? We don't want to have to pay to be on a platform. And honestly, we didn't want our fans to have to pay to see my nipples anymore.
Yeah.
You guys deserve to get those for free.
You guys deserve to cry for free.
Wow. You know what? I'm putting an end to this right now.
Oh, buddy, I'm out. Where's my button? There it is.
Where's my button? No, go to BuffyRevisited.com. You're going to get a link to our email address, which is BuffyRevisited@gmail.com. You're going to get a link to our Facebook, where you will find at least one post to comment on if you're looking to comment about the most current episode you're listening to, or if you want to go back and comment on older episodes. Occasionally, we do post other things, articles and whatnot, but very rarely. I'm not going to lie to you. And then if you go to the old YouTube, man, get this, Jeremy, get this. If you go to YouTube right now, you will be able to watch the video version of this very podcast.
Every week you mind fuck me with this information, and
Yeah.
I don't appreciate it. It scares me.
I'm sorry. I'm just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts.
Just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts.
So yeah. So hop over to any of those platforms. Shoot us a message. Leave comments. Whatever you want to do. Your favorite recipes. Again, still it's 4 years later. I'm still looking for decent recipes. None of you have pulled through on that for me. So,
frankly,
you're letting me down.
Failed miserably, and you really don't deserve us.
You so don't. It's honestly, I want you guys to think about what you've done. I want you guys.
You guys need to all sit quietly in a room somewhere by yourselves and think about what you've done.
Yeah. Just be very introspective about how you have affected us in primarily negative ways,
and how you have failed to be proper audience members.
Yeah.
Frankly,
yeah. No, of course we're kidding. We love each and every one of you in a strictly platonic, work acquaintance kind of way. Anyway,
speak for yourself. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us this week. Next week, we're going to be diving into season 5, episode 8, Shadow.
Is this a good episode, Jeremy?
Well, it's a werewolf episode, so it'll be good.
It is not a werewolf episode, but
he knows that it is, ladies and gentlemen. He's being facetious.
I have some things to talk about for this episode.
All right. I look forward to it.
Well, one major thing, I guess.
Okay.
Really, but anyway.
Well, you've got me chomping at the bit. I wish I didn't have to wait a whole week to hear what you had to say. Because I don't. Okay.
It's about 20 minutes.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. I've been one of your hosts. I'm Jeremy.
I'm your other host, James.
Ta-ta.